You go. Still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan, and I've got a very special guest with me. I've been a huge fan of Tommy. I think I first became aware of you back in 2015, long before my activism started. I can hear myself, Tommy. Do you have headphones?
I don't have headphones. No, let me.
Okay, all right. Let me try something. Maybe we can do echo cancellation. Okay, choose. Okay, let me try this. Okay, all right, let's try this. Okay, I can't hear myself now. I just lowered my microphone volume.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, bro. I'm on my phone.
Nah, yeah, sorry. Okay, so we'll just keep it quick. So first of all, tell us, Tommy, why does trouble always follow you? You just went to Canada.
It always has since I was a little boy. Every
So,
school
yes.
playground, everywhere I've gone. So I attract it. But at least for the last couple of examples, yeah. November 26th, when I went to report on the anti-Semitism rally, at least people saw I didn't do anything. And not only did I not do anything, but I was prosecuted through the courts for doing nothing. Yeah. Now I've arrived in Canada. I've gone through immigration for hours. I've been asked all the questions. I've been allowed into the country. And again, I've been arrested. And if you look at the media run it worldwide. Yeah. The negative portrayal of me being detained for immigration offences went around the globe. Today, it's been cleared. I've been given back my passport. How many media have reported that? None at all. So essentially the negative portrayal of me doing something wrong has been sent to the globe. And then now that I've been cleared of doing anything wrong, given back my passport and allowed to continue with my tour, no one wants to report that. So, and I've seen this for years. So I'm not saying I've always been innocent. I'm not saying I've always been an angel, but trouble does follow me. And essentially I talk about issues they don't want me to talk about. I embarrass and at times embarrass governments or police forces. And I've landed in Canada and I feel I've done the same. I feel I've internationally humiliated Justin Trudeau, hopefully. And they're two-tier policing. Because again, this is, for me, this is two-tier policing, two-tier immigration policies where their borders are open, totally open, okay? They're open for anyone and everyone. Yet I came here, and as Canadians have told me, we've never seen migrants arrested, handcuffed, 4 vehicles turn up, conditions put in. Like I was going to go up to migrants today until I got my verdict. I found a lot of migrants in the city centre here, and I was just going to ask any of them: Are you allowed to leave Calgary? You came here illegally. Are you allowed to leave Calgary? Yes, they are. So, but I've been locked in this town for now a week, but now I'm free.
So tell me, you obviously went to Canada for you had some speaking engagements, and then as soon as you landed, I think you did one. You attended one event, and after that, they just arrested you. And they initially said some immigration violations. Did they tell you what they are?
Now, so what it is, so I came here to meet Gad Saad. I flew to Montreal. I've watched Gad Saad for years, yeah? So first spoke to him 8 years ago. I wanted to come to Canada. I also, do you remember Raif Badawi? So Raif Badawi spoke out in 2012. Now, when Raif spoke out, I was in direct contact with him, yeah, and his family. I've maintained that contact for over a decade. I took the opportunity to come and meet his family. So, and I'll tell you why, because when Raif was first arrested, let's remember what he said. He said that Muslims, Christians and Jews are equal. That's it, yeah? He faced 10 years in prison. He served 10 years in prison, and he faced 1,000 lashes. Now, Raif's children at the time of that were the same age as my children. Yeah. So to follow the story, I remember getting my little children to hold up a sign saying "Free Raif." Yeah. And I sent it to him and I sent it to his family. And then to know that coming here now, I know Raif's been freed, but he hasn't. He can't talk to the media and he can't leave Saudi Arabia. So for me, the knowledge that he still has not embraced or hugged his family from all that time ago, I think of everything I've gone through in my life since then, to know that he's still separated from them. I came here, they've invited me for dinner. So that's what I originally come here for. That's why I went to Montreal. Now, when I landed in Canada, I contacted Rebel Media. I contacted Ezra Levant and I said, Ezra, I'm in Canada. Yeah. At that point, Ezra then organised engagement. So with 5 days notice, I'd done what I had to do in Montreal. I then travelled to Calgary, where I am now, where we had our first event. So we didn't prior plan this. There weren't tickets on sale. It's literally, I'm in Canada, Ezra. And the reason why it was important, Rebel Media supported me for years. I worked for them. It's where I first become a journalist. So it was important for me to come and have an opportunity to speak to their their supporters, which I've done in Calgary. We had another day booked in Edmonton, and it's very clear. They arrested me straight after my first event, and the conditions given to me, which there was no, I wasn't charged. Literally, what was so crazy was I was expecting to be carted off and deported. But when I was arrested, and the police were very nice, yeah? When I was arrested, I was taken to detention centre. The copper comes straight in and said, we want to get you out of here, Tommy, right? So we want to get you out of here, but the options are either you agree to some terms of conditions with us, or you're going to be carted off to Vancouver on a flight and you're going to be detained in a detention centre, which is a prison, yeah, until you're removed. I said, okay, what's the conditions you want me to agree to? The conditions are that you do not leave Calgary. If you agree to those conditions, Tommy, you're getting out the door. You're getting out the door now, yeah. And I've never been detained and then released very quickly like that ever in my life, yeah. And it seemed as though the officers, who were super nice, didn't want to be doing what they were doing. So they literally said, just agree to this and we're going to let you out the door. Yeah? We have to examine avenues that mean we don't detain you. So those avenues are sign in and report on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday and on a Friday, and surrender your passport by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I agreed to those conditions. And I said, well, these conditions are clearly to prevent, because Edmonton's only 3 hours from here. Yeah, Canada's such a big country. Edmonton's only 3 hours. So I could have gone to Edmonton the next day, but they had a ban on that. And then they had a ban on me going to Toronto. I was due to go to Toronto to talk to Jordan Peterson and Tammy Peterson, and I was due to host an event there on Sunday. But then we got lawyers to assess if what they're doing was legal at all. As I said, this doesn't happen to migrants who come here. I actually asked the officers, I said, okay, now I'm in the detention centre of the immigration centre. What if I tell you I want to claim asylum? What if I say that to you? And I'm serious.
Off you go. You can do whatever you want.
Basically, yeah. That's what I said. That's the point I'm making. If I say I'm here for asylum, you can't tell me which town and city I can't go into. In fact, you need to put me up in a hotel and give me 3 meals a day. So the absurd, and I've came in here legally, yeah. And there was a lot of hoo-ha whether I come in legally. People are saying I used a different passport. I have, my mother's Irish, yeah. So I have an Irish passport and a British passport, yeah. There's no conspiracy there. That's what I have. So yeah, when I come here, I use my Irish passport. But I still answered all their questions in immigration. They actually rang the people I was coming to see whilst I was here. They've done all their checks, and they still let me go. So I think it's stupid what they done, the way they done it. Because what I would have done is come here, had a quiet little event, spoke to a few hundred people in a couple of towns and cities, and gone home. They've made it 30 million people viewed the video of my arrest. Canadians who didn't know who I was then knew who I was, and they were outraged at the way that the enforcement of the law is used in certain circumstances and not in other circumstances. As I said, there's migrants coming into this country every day. No one knows who they are. No documentation. They're not getting handcuffed or arrested or detained. They're certainly not getting told which cities they can and can't be in.
It's fascinating to me that they keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. I just recorded a video yesterday about Nigel Farage issue that Channel 4 did this expose, that they're still working on this old principle that where they believe that if you malign your political opponent or people you don't like, then somehow people are going to hate them. But the exact opposite is happening. Now, the more they malign you, the more they malign Trump, the more they malign Nigel Farage, they become more and more popular. They just don't understand. So the whole media, the way they behave, the way the status quo behaves, it's just backfiring. But what's fascinating is that they're not changing their tactics. They keep doing the same thing. They come down even harder at you. Now, again, like, I couldn't make sense out of this. But okay, immigration violation, what is it? And then they let you go. And now, as you said, 28 million people saw your video, your arrest video, and people are going to be like, well, hang on a second. Why is that happening? And then now.
And I think they're in a position, because we got the legal team and we told them we're going to expedite this into a court ASAP. So they're in a position probably thinking, well, we shouldn't be locking him in a city, yeah, because we don't lock anyone in cities. So if this goes before judges, they're going to remove these conditions anyway. Yeah? So we had literally 2 days of negotiations, which is very strange for me. You don't sit down and negotiate with the police. You go to court, yeah. But we were negotiating in the room. And they wanted to know, okay, when will you leave? What we had to show them what flight I'll leave on, where I will stay, what agreement I'll have. And we thought I'd have to check in with the immigration centre when I land in the next city. But then today, here's your passport. Off you go. It's just the whole experience has been strange. But what I do know is if I didn't have the legal team and the lawyers and Ezra, lots of people say about Ezra, he goes over top with lawyers. If that legal team we had today were the best immigration legal team there is, yeah, and they corrected the police. So what the police tried to say originally is the reason that I can't go and do the rest of the dates is because once you do a speaking engagement and you come in on a visa of just what I've come in, the visa I've come in on, you only get 5 days to do your speaking engagement. So they said you've done your day in Calgary, that means you get 5 more days. And then straight away the immigration lawyer said, no, it doesn't. Okay, they're allowed 5 separate dates of speaking engagements before they overstay their visa. So he can do 5 more individual dates. You're misinterpreting the law. If I didn't have lawyers, because I wasn't allowed to fly home either. When they seized my passport, I wasn't allowed to go. It's my daughter's birthday this week, yeah. So I wasn't allowed to go either. So if I didn't have those legal team, and you know what, Harris, if I wasn't back on social media, yeah, then what would have happened here? It's total opposite situation would have happened here. I'd have been arrested, detained, deported. No one would have really known about it. And the only narrative people would have got is a narrative that's been put out by them. So I'm very grateful.
Or because Tommy's criminal, or because Tommy's a criminal, he always does something wrong. Look at him.
Tommy would have done something wrong in Toronto, in Canada. So that's what would have been played out. That's the narrative that would have gone out. I already come under attack when I got here. So yeah, I think that I'm just grateful that people supported. I'm grateful that Ezra's bank. Ezra always jumps on lawyers straight away, and I'm grateful. And do you know what? I can't speak. The coppers were so nice to me, man. The ones that arrested me, even not at first because I had an off attitude with them. They had an off attitude with me because I didn't know what was happening. But by the time I got into that station, they could not have been nicer. They couldn't have been nicer each time I've gone down there. And even today, returning my passport to me, they were super nice. They seemed like they were forced into this, which then created a bit of an embarrassing situation for them, which I don't think they knew a way out of, which is why they negotiated for 2 days to find a way out. Because whether the reasoning for this was to stop my speech or not, that's how the optics look. So whether it was because what they said is they don't believe I was entirely honest with them about my reasons for coming to Canada. So I told them I was coming to visit a couple of people, and then within a day of me being in Canada, there's a speaking tour. So that they're taking that I haven't been entirely honest with them, but I still said, but that's not against the law, right? Yeah. I'm in Canada. What's the problem? Yeah. But they said, and then because of my previous history, which they have reason to, when they look at my previous history of court orders, because of my previous history, they said the conditions they were imposing on me were because they couldn't trust that I'd stick to certain conditions on immigration whilst in the country. Fair enough, maybe. Yeah. Fair enough, maybe when they look at my but again, if they use these conditions and done this against everyone, fair enough.
No one would be speaking then.
No one.
We get Islamists come here. We get many Islamists come from all over the world who have said really horrible, atrocious, borderline terrorist things, and they can come, without any opposition, and they can deliver lectures.
If it played both ways, fair enough. Yeah. And I don't mind you putting conditions or trying to protect your country if you don't believe I'm telling the truth. But the reality is your borders are open to anyone. Yeah. Terrorists are coming in, jihadists are coming in, rapists are coming in. No, Justin Trudeau literally invited 100,000 people in from America who had been refused entry into America because of their criminal history. Justin said, come on over. Come on over. Crime's gone up, rape's gone up, everything's gone up. Canadians don't recognise their towns and cities. And then a British activist journalist comes and the SWAT team turn up.
It's like, he's a threat to national security. That I guess that's one of the things that they said about you. Okay. So I'm just going to put you on mute because I think my voice comes back. I want to make this point that I think to me, and I'm not very conspiratorial, I'm very anti-conspiracy theory, but you're the only person, and I think it's probably because of your history, and I've seen how many times you've been screwed over by the system. And Julian Assange is the other guy, and I think, Jesus, like seriously, our governments are not as good as we think they are, or they're not as righteous as we would hope them to be. But for the coppers to say that, you can only attend 5 events, that's a very specific information that a normal police officer wouldn't know. So it obviously would have come from somewhere, because obviously, and that seems very clear to me that, okay, you didn't go there to attend these speaking events, But obviously, they're more concerned about that. I saw your photo with Badawi family, and I take it that's why you went there to meet Gassard and also Jordan Peterson. But then, fair enough. People want to hear you. People want to see you. So, I mean, kudos to you that on such a short notice you can set up 5 speaking events. So, why are they so concerned about this? Is that because they don't want to see you? They don't want you to speak?
I'll tell you why, which I was shocked about since being here. Now, since they locked me in Calgary, I met Tamara Leach. Tamara Leach was one of the convoy founders for the trucker convoy, yeah? And I also just met Pastor Arthur, the Polish priest, who was the man who stood up at the start of the COVID mandates and lockdowns in Canada. And mate, when I've heard what they've done to them, they locked up Tamara, who's a mother of 3 children and a grandmother, for 50 days on solitary confinement for no crime. Literally, they put Pastor Arthur in a little metal cage in solitary confinement. They kept him with the lights on every day. They literally mentally, when I've sat and listened to the 2 or 3 hour stories from these 2 individuals who done nothing more than speak out against government tyranny during the mandated lockdowns, yeah, and they organised legal and lawful protests. When I listen to I'm lucky I'm getting my passport back. Canada is a communist hellhole. Yeah. When I heard the stories of seizing bank accounts, seizing vehicles, locking people up unlawfully for organising, and then Justin Trudeau enforcing the Emergency Act, which is like some act against terrorists. Yeah. And then enforcing it on normal law-abiding truckers and citizens, seizing their money through GoFundMe, closing their bank accounts, closing their businesses, terrorism groups raiding them. Hearing the lengths, do you know the lengths they went to stop this pastor feeding the homeless, yeah, terrorising his family. I'm actually shocked at the tyranny and the government overreach and abuse of power from their police forces against their ordinary Canadian citizens, that I'm pretty lucky that I come in here, was locked up for a few hours and given my passport back, because there is no freedom in Canada. When I've heard, I'm looking forward to putting these discussions out and these interviews I've just had, but I've been absolutely gobsmacked. I thought Canada was a free democratic country. Yeah, hearing the absolute abuse of power that they done during COVID and the way they treated a man of the church and a mother and grandmother who's nothing more. When you meet Tamara Leach, I sat down and she has no history of activism, no history of politics. She was a mother who was concerned with the mandated vaccines. So she decided to go on a truckers convoy, and going on that convoy for 1 week, she then spent 50 days on solitary confinement. She was then given conditions for the last 2 years. She's not allowed to speak to certain people or use the internet. Yeah. All these insane overreach conditions, like my conditions, are nothing. What happened to me the last couple of days is absolutely nothing to what this government has done to their own citizens over the last few years. So I count myself lucky. I actually think Britain, compared to what Justin Trudeau's Canada has got, from what I'm hearing, I can't believe the stories I've just heard of what these people have put through. Oh, they put a woman, a mother, who was not a danger. They refused her bail. And why did they do this? You asked why they do it to me. They done this to send a message to the rest of the Canada. Shut up and sit down. Yeah. Do not think about coming together. Do not think about uniting together. So anyone who can unify people, they probably see that I could come here and give a message of resistance. And I might rile up some Canadians to start resisting the immigration policies, or I might bring people together to believe that they can come together and share information together. That's why I don't think they wanted me speaking. They certainly wouldn't want me on a platform like Jordan Peterson's or Gad Sad's, because they like to keep me as a fringe voice. They don't want me sat with anyone who's credible. Yeah. So me coming here and having the opportunity to meet those people, that's not good for the British establishment or the Canadian. So I think there's lots of reasons and probably a lot more going on in the background to what I know or we know is going on. But I've been shocked to hear the stories of what's happened to ordinary Canadians.
But do you think that the tide is turning? Because it always fascinates me that how in Britain people have this class system. And I don't know, because I haven't seen that in Australia, where Douglas Murray may say exactly the same things as you, but he gets rewarded, he gets interviewed, and kudos to him, and he gets accepted and given a pat on the back. But when you say exactly the same things as what he's saying. Or, well, okay, I have a brown privilege, so I can obviously get away with a lot. But when you say it, they kind of boycott you. Like, I mean, no media wants to touch you. No credible journalist wants to speak with you, and they just keep. Why? What's the reason behind this hostility? Surely, if that was just your message, then they should be boycotting Douglas Murray as well. And there's so many other people as well. Why do they come after you so unevenly like this?
I think the history of my activism, I did lead a street protest movement that at times was very controversial. There were clashes on the streets. At a time when I was younger, we always called for peace. We always called for calmness. So, and I do speak a certain way. And let's face it, the majority of journalists are from a middle class background. Yeah, we do have a class system in the UK. We do have a class system where, quite frankly, they think I should shut up and we should shut up. Working class people should shut up and be in their place. And when we start speaking out, they don't like it. And they don't like anyone. And that's not just me. Anyone from any activist group that can unify people and bring them together is a danger to the establishment. And they don't. And as people just saw on June the 1st, we had a huge rally. On July 27th, and right now, you have to remember what Nigel Farage has just faced with these false allegations, this actor, yeah? You see those sort of tricks played against Nigel Farage this week? Well, we've had them for 15 years. We've had groups like Hope Not Hate who have paid people, and these organisations who pay people to then sit on credible TV shows to make most outlandish allegations, or they pay people to go into organisations. So, and I can only go back to when I led the English Defence League. I remember one of our demonstrations in Luton. It cost the police £2 million. Yeah, they don't like that. Okay, so they don't like that at all. We've done those every month. Yeah, so we were costing them money and causing them problems, and we were also raising awareness to topics that they really don't want to discuss. Because if people listen to the topics, whether it be rape gangs from Islamic rape gangs, all of these problems are from government failure policy. Yeah. So what do they want to do? They want to cover up the problem. Because if we actually assess the problem, who are we going to look at for causing the problem? It's their failure. It's their open border policies that have caused this problem. And it's them that have caused the division within our society. So they have acted in a way to silence it. But with myself, and again, I just hold my hands up. I haven't helped myself at times. You know what I mean? And I do kind of have a confrontational relationship with the journalists. I do because they lie. I do because I think they're at fault. So I sort of, and I do because at times I found it humorous too. I like to mock them at times. But so I think that their reasoning is classism at times. But again, over the years, I probably haven't helped myself either, if I'm honest. Are you? I can't hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, look, this is what actually upsets me because, as I said, like I've been following you since 2015, 2014, long before I actually started my activism, and I've seen your growth as well. Like I didn't know about EDL, but then when I read it, I was like, okay, kudos to you. You actually distanced yourself from EDL because I think when you went to jail and when you came back, then you said that it was not the party or wasn't the movement that you wanted it to be, and it was taken over by some racists or whatnot. And then over the years, people have repeatedly accused you of racism, but you never came across as a racist person to me. I mean, I met you a few months ago in London, and you always used to say, "Tell me what's so racist that I've ever said." I think there was this BBC for the big question or something. You were in there, and people would always throw these buzzwords. But why do they fail? And again, I'm not talking about this about the people in power or even journalists. I'm talking about the general public, and I think this is why I believe that the tide is turning. I'm seeing more and more people say, "Well, I thought that Tommy was, like he was just a typical EDL racist thug or something." But more and more people are now joining you, people from all backgrounds, and they're saying, "Hang on a second, I haven't found anything racist in him." So why do you think first of all, do you think that the tide is turning? And why do you think that people are not actually, or the mainstream media is not actually still warming up to you?
The tide has turned. It's totally turned. So tide's totally turned, and it's turned in the sense, and I see that. So I get to see it by the reaction I get when I walk down the streets. I think COVID helped a lot. I think that with COVID, with a lot of the actions of the government and of the media and the conspiracy theorists labeling the racist labelling, the far right labelling of just ordinary people who wanted to question government mandates or policies, they were then put in the same bracket that we've been in for years. And then they saw that they were lied about. So they thought, hold on, I'm a genuine citizen and I've got concerns about this and legitimate concerns. And you're calling me far right, conspiracy theorist, racist, all the same sort of words. So I think the overuse of the words to attack people and the ability for us to have a platform again and challenge the lies has helped massively. So I think that lots happened, whether it be Brexit, Black Lives Matter, the elections in the United States, lots of things happened that made the public more aware. Whereas for 10 years previous to that, we were just labelled and attacked by the media, but there weren't a lot of other people being labelled or attacked for other things. So then when people now try to challenge any narrative, even transgenderism, like J.K. Rowling now is a hate figure. Yeah, it's like they've overkilled their buzzwords. There's no power in their words anymore or their attacks, and no one believes them. So I think that's put me in a position. And remember, a lot of the things, it's like Katie Hopkins. I done a podcast with Katie Hopkins, yeah, and Katie was in a similar position to me. I come out of a court case. I left the UK. I felt in a very low position. Katie come out of a court case where they took her house off her.
Sorry, Tommy. I think I've lost you. I think your phone is overheated now.
Okay, you lost me?
I've lost Tommy.
Have you?
He's just on a phone at a hotel, Wi-Fi hotel. You're back. Yeah, carry on.
I'm back. So Katie Hopkins, at a time, Katie Hopkins, and she told me her story. She come out of, they took her house off her. Yeah, they bankrupted her, same as they done to me. They took her house and she felt hated by the country. Yeah, and she left her family. And it was exactly the same story as me. I left my family. She left her family and she went to the United States of America. Yeah. 2 years later, she come back to the UK. She walked down the streets and she was loved. Yeah, she went from most hated to loved in 2 years. The mass awakening that's happened in the public, because they're looking at people who they were told were hate figures and they were told were extremists, and realizing, no, they were telling the truth. They were warning us about everything we've now seen. Now, remember, I'm from Luton Town, so all the problems people are seeing now in universities, in colleges, pro-Hamas, anti-Semitism, I'd seen it growing up. I was simply ahead of the curve because I grew up in a town plagued by Islamic extremism. So I could talk about two-tier policing like I did for decades. I could talk about the way the council appeased them because I'd seen it. But what I'd seen, now the whole country saw, due to social media, due to Hamas supporters, due to the extremism, due to terrorism, due to the numbers, due to the demographical change, the problems I talked about are now in many towns and cities. So I think that's the reason. And people look back, and none of my videos or my debates, they haven't aged badly for me. They age badly for the people trying to condemn us. And that will continue. And I think as well, the truth being, Harris, I'm not full of hate. Yeah, I generally ain't full of hate. I don't hate individuals. And I say that again. Some of the best people I met, some of the people I love, some of the people I still associate with are Muslims, right? But they're not following the scripture of Islam. Yeah, they identify as Muslims. They're not. And if they were following, and I have this conversation with them, if you were following the scripture of Islam, you wouldn't be my mate. You would not be sitting here, yeah? You would not be the nice individual you are. So to the British public, yeah, you may know some great Muslims, but they're not great people because they're following the scripture of Islam. That's why we have to separate, and we have to have a discussion on the influence of Islam that we're seeing. So, and that doesn't mean hating every single individual Muslim. So, and I can't believe that after 20 years, we're still having to stress that argument to people. It's like, if I hated Christianity, no one thinks I hate all Christians. If I dissected the Bible, no one thinks I have hatred for every person that follows it. How come this protection is given to Islam from criticism?
Yeah, one of the great memes going around, it goes something like this: saying that I hate cancer patient is just because I hate cancer doesn't mean that I hate the cancer patient.
It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy, and do you know what? It's like, but it's the biggest weapon used. But I don't think, again, the media, their power's gone. These buzzwords, power's gone. People are fed up, man. And the British public, I think, Harris, if you can get to the UK, yeah, and anyone listening to this, July 27th, I believe, will be a historic date that's going to see the largest gathering of British patriots from all backgrounds, yeah, from every denomination of the British public who love Britain. And it's what I've said from the start, yeah. Anyone who loves this country, yeah, anyone who loves Great Britain, they're coming out together to show their love for their country. I'm excited about July 27th, but I'm also very conscious that the establishment and the powers that be are not going to want that to be a success. June the 1st was a massive success. Yeah, it would have worried them. I think our success on June the 1st launched Nigel Farage into standing for reform, because before that he was going to America. Yeah, he saw the public mood. He saw he put his finger on the pulse of the country. Yeah, and the country's had enough. The British public have had enough. People are awake to what's happening, and their words are no longer have any power. And the last thing they want is unity. And what you saw on June the 1st was unity from so many different groups of so many different people. It was beautiful, man. It was great. It was such a. Do you know what? I said this, Harris. I went to Poland for the 100-year anniversary of their independence, and as I stood at the front of their march, there's 100,000 of them. They got their kids on their shoulders. Their flags were everywhere. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I felt something. I felt. I said, I can feel power and energy here. And their sense of identity. Now, remember, Polish history, they were wiped off the face of the map for 100 years. They've had to fight for their identity. They've continually been oppressed. So, even up until the wall falling in just 30, 40 years ago, they know what it's like to lose their freedoms. And when I interviewed their people there, they said, your elder generation know who they are. Your new generation are lost. And I felt gutted walking away from that event in Poland, because I felt something I don't think Britain had. Yeah, that sense of belief, that sense of togetherness, that sense of identity. And for the first time on June the 1st, I felt it. I remember feeling the hairs on my skin are standing up now thinking about it. Yeah, I felt it. And I think that's the change that's happened. And I think everyone who went on June the 1st felt it. And that is why they've wanted us divided, isolated, segregated, on your own, sitting there feeling like you're a fringe voice when you're not, you're the majority. And I think, as I said, I'm excited about July 27th.
Which leads me to my next question. And as you said, that people from all walks of life attended that rally on the 1st of June. Here's an ex-Muslim professor. He's saying, I don't go to protests, but I will be among the crowds in London on the 27th of July, 2024. I'm for freedom of speech. So my question to you is, did you expect that that 1st of June rally is going to be, so many people are going to turn up? Did you expect that? And now that we know, some people are saying that up to 10,000 people turned up. I don't know. I'll actually probably take your number. As many people turned up, now that they know that your voice is gaining momentum, do you think, and you said that the police were really good on that day. There were no issues. And now what about 27th of July? Do you think that's going to go without any drama?
Yeah, I think it goes without any drama. I think it goes without any drama because what we've done is policed ourselves. And if anyone would have stepped out of line that day, there'd have been 100 men to put them in line. So there was a lot of men there, yeah? A lot of groups of men. And even the groups of men, so different football supporting groups that we've been in contact with the whole time, their families are coming this one. I'm talking to them saying, mate, my wife and kids are coming. Everyone's coming. So I think 27th of July is going to be a massive success. And I knew June the 1st would be a success. I think there was 20 to 30,000 people there. But, knowing that nearly 1 million people watched live online, because so many people were concerned and worried. Remember, we've been demonised, tarnished, labelled, smeared. They didn't know what to expect. Then they watched at home, and the amount of comments said, I'm coming next time. Yeah. And that's the last thing they would have wanted, the establishment. Because people now know it's safe to come to. We'll make sure it's safe, as we did with this one. We worked with the police the entire way through it. We worked with our own security. We had our own stewards. On this one, we're going to fill Trafalgar Square. We haven't got one huge screen. We've got 3 of the biggest screens in the UK going up in Trafalgar Square. The problem I have now, Harris, I don't know if you're aware, I've been told that since I've left the UK, I now face prosecution for contempt of court again for a film that I made 4 years ago. And contempt of court is what they sent me to jail for last time. So it's the only prosecution that a judge has the power to sentence someone for 2 years without a jury. So I faced contempt of court proceedings because I made a film which the government and establishment didn't want the public to see. They gave me an injunction preventing the public from seeing the evidence in the case that they ruled against me on. So they ruled against me and made me bankrupt for 1.6 million, told the whole country I lied, when the covert recordings actually proved total corruption, unlawful behaviour. In fact, people were paid to lie, and I got it all on covert recording. They spent £275,000 paying people with non-disclosure agreements, the local council did, so that they could tell people I lied.
But they don't give up. But Tommy, they don't give up. You keep fighting back, and this is what I admire about you. I think a lot of other people, including myself, I think I would have given up by now. Like, I mean, you keep fighting though. It costs you money, costs you distress. You said that you're... Yeah, sorry, go on.
This will have the total opposite effect. It's like, okay, you're going to lock me up. Yeah. You're going to lock up a journalist for making a film. What's going to happen from that? That film, at the minute, because I didn't release it, it was leaked in America and it's had 200,000 views. Right? Come the 29th of July, our last documentary that we put out on the 1st of June is on 5.5 million views. You're going to bring 10 million views to a film that totally exposes the judiciary's corruption. Yeah, I couldn't ask or pay you to do that. Yeah, I can ask for my cause. You're right. I've been in this cause for 15 years. I am very stubborn and bitter with what they've done to my family. Yeah, so I don't back down because, and I know I'm right. And you've already broke everything in my life anyway. So what you're going to try and do? Say, for example, you take me to court and lock me up. I'll go in jail and come back out of jail. Yeah. Oh, and the Justice Nicklin was the judge in my case. He's never going to be remembered. Once 10 million people watch that video, he's not going to be remembered as the most senior media judge of the High Court. He's going to be remembered as the most corrupt judge of the High Court. I'm going to go to jail as a journalist who proved, who all I done was report the truth. That's all I done. So they're angry because I reported the truth and the public got to see it. And as I said, I've never put this documentary out there myself. I've never shared it myself. Yeah. But the allegations against me, it doesn't matter if I shared it. The way they've worded it and their prosecution that they wish to try and lock me up on, again, it's like arresting me here. That hasn't worked. Putting me in jail for a film, it's not going to work. It's going to be the Streisand effect. You're going to blow this up. The entire world's going to talk about that film. You're going to make me a free speech martyr around the globe. So again, I'm not going to go into court. It's like my solicitor had a bit. It's like, well, we could try and negotiate. There's no negotiating. I've got nothing to negotiate on. I reported the truth. You're not happy about it. If I go to court, I'll straight out ask the judge in front of every. And the difference is now, I don't need to rely on the mainstream media. That courtroom is going to be full of citizen journalists, and I'm going to ask the judge, well, what is it that's not correct in that film? Is there something in the film that's not true? And that's not the problem here. The problem is not that nothing's true. The problem is that the public's seen it. The public are going to see it. So yeah, again, obviously for me, Harris, I'm terrified of going to jail. I'm totally terrified. I've got 3 children. Me going free and doing a 2-year prison sentence is going to be hell for me and hell for my family. But I don't have any choice. I'm not in a position where I have a way out of that anyway. Yeah, and to be honest, I think if I went to jail for 6 months or went to jail for 2 years, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't just stand up in court and say, no, you're wrong. And you're corrupt. And that's the reality of it. And that's all the public are going to see. So it's like they've weaponized the court system against me, and I will weaponize the public opinion against them. So yeah. I can't hear you. You're still on mute, bruv.
Sorry. So if they send you away for 2 years, then I guess it's again, like I think I've heard you say that before as well, that this is the only charge that they can throw at you where judge can send you away for 2 years. Like, I mean, it's not, you haven't stabbed anyone. There's no physical evidence or anything. It's very subjective. Like, it's contempt of court. And then, so if they send you away for 2 years, then I guess again they would know. In your recent episode where the Canadian police arrested, and I think, here we go again. And I thought that it's going to backfire on them again. Whether they release you, I was thinking maybe they might not release you until 28th of July. Maybe I thought. My mind was going all conspiratorial, but then also entertain the possibility that even if they release him in a couple of days, it would still backfire because millions of people are going to watch, and people are always going to stand with the little guy, and they're going to say, "What is it? What has he done?" Like, I mean, I'm always asking, like, what has he done? Okay, he says something that you don't like. Fine. There's so many other people. We're constantly looking at Islamists running amok in Britain, Canada, everywhere. They say that we want to overthrow the government. They say we want to install Sharia. They say atrocious things, and nothing happens to them. And here's this guy that they're just after him. So I think it was going to backfire, and I think it has backfired.
I think it has, and as I said, that my prosecution or alleged prosecution that they want isn't before 27th of July, so they can't stop the 27th of July. And in fact, whilst I've been away, everything's in place for 27th of July. We've been organising everything. We've got bands coming, church bands singing, guest speakers. It's going to be a fabulous day, man. It's going to be a fabulous day. And the point of, we've got an important meeting with Mayor Toosey, Carl Benjamin, Lawrence Fox, Calvin Robinson, lots of other individuals. The point is, even if you do lock me away, it doesn't matter. That cultural movement that started on the 1st of June is going to continue. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm there or not. it's still going to continue. And that's what we've got an important meeting this week with all those individuals to plan beyond 27th of July. I think this country's been crying out for a cultural movement that celebrates its identity away from politics, yeah? Because away from politics, let Nigel Farage do politics, let him do reform, yeah? He's bringing about more conversation than anyone else has in the political arena. Whether he slams us or not, it's still good for the public debate to be had on these issues. But I think this country needs a cultural movement, a cultural movement that's open to everyone, to celebrate British identity and to plan over the next 4 years and build momentum. And our momentum, thanks to the Canadian police, has helped. It's continued. And on July 27th, it will get even bigger. So
I'm going to show you some clips of, I don't know, take it as you will. And obviously, I'd like the audience to see as well. And then I would want your comment on that. So this is Paris, where this is an average Parisian street. Nothing against these people, but I'm starting to understand. I'm trying to understand the meaning of multiculturalism. Yes, various cultures should be able to live under one primary dominant culture, as long as those other cultures don't directly are in conflict with the dominant culture. This is London. This is apparently an Afghan migrant walking around with a machete. I don't see anything like that in Australia, but I actually, scares the living daylight out of me thinking that are we going to have that in Australia as well. This is Spain. There are people running away from one crazy. Well, actually, there's just another brawl. I think I had another video. This is Netherlands, Eritreans. This is Eritreans running amok. Eritreans, I think. Sorry, is that how you say it? This is Sweden. Check this out. This Swedish guy. Sorry, Tommy, were you saying something?
I said I want to kill that bloke. I've watched this video. I can't believe. I wish I was on the way he makes the women stand up. This is look at the attitude. Look at the attitude from the man. That is the most enraging video I've watched. When I watched it, I just thought, how is there no man on that train who puts in?
Look at this Italy. This is in Italy. I can't imagine someone destroying my car like that. I don't know what I would do. I would just look at this. This is Italy. This is Milan. So when you see these videos, I mean, it makes my blood boil. Why do you think that, as you said, that guy on a Swedish tram or something, and how come nobody stands up? Like, why are we seeing hundreds? I've seen literally hundreds of these videos. Thousands. There have to be thousands.
Every day, thousands of these videos. Every day. And when we're talking, I went to Paris, yeah? I went to meet an American there, and we met. And I stayed in the Muslim district, okay? I stayed in a little boutique hotel. It was a nice little hotel, but it was in the Muslim district. Do you know what the advice was from the hotel? Don't get your phone out. Don't get your wallet out. And careful if you bring a woman out. That was the advice, yeah? And when you went out, and when I walked out in the streets, you didn't see any women, yeah? On every corner was about 30 or 40 Arab men, yeah? This was not France, okay? And nothing like it. I think the Olympics is going to be entertaining to see what happens there, okay? But when people envision, and I said it to people whilst I've been here in Canada, now when you're picturing Great Britain and you're picturing London, it's not there anymore. That's changed forever. Certain areas have changed forever. And when we talk about multiculturalism, the hosts, I think white English now make up 33% of London, yeah? Well, that is a blueprint for the entire country. Now, what you're doing is you're bringing in hostile communities, and there is no integration or assimilation. You're dividing that's in pulling down, that's London. And the rule of law or these hate crime laws, they're not enforced against everyone. They're selective of who they're enforced against, like this immigration law over in Canada. You're silencing certain, I'd say, which are the host, the English people, the British people are being silenced and scared into silence, whilst you allow Islamists to absolutely run amok and promote hatred in any way they want. Like the mosques, like the calls for jihad, like this is the real hatred, yeah? And no one gets prosecuted, no one gets deported. So I think that what you're seeing is a total failure and a breakdown of, and this is going to continue. And the election, and the dangerous thing is with this, and I keep talking about it, yeah, is the sense that the public are going to become so enraged with immigration, yeah, which we're already seeing, that then the actual decent migrants that were welcomed into this country and worked hard start bearing the brunt of it as well. start bearing the brunt of people's anger and frustration. The same way, and they can look at the same thing with the LGBTQ plus alphabet mafia. Yeah, ordinary homosexual people, yeah, lesbians or gays, will end up bearing the brunt of the frustration of the public with the sexualization of children, and that's what's happening. So, and people talk about population replacement. I talk about that, which is what we're seeing. Yeah, but if we halt immigration, if we did halt immigration instantly, the only demographic which is going to dominate, yeah, is the birth rate of the Islamic community. Yeah, that's the only one that's going to dominate. The Sikh community at 1.3%, Hindu community at 1.2%, same birth rate as us. Yeah, it's the same demographical change. So a lot of these problems, and unless you discuss these problems, and the only people discussing them are the people who despise me anyway. So
you can hear that.
The majority nation here in.
Sorry, you can hear what you just said. You can hear it from a Muslim himself.
One day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada, right? Please.
We have Canadian law here, and you say that you want Sharia law to displace Canadian law. That doesn't sound very respectful.
In majority, you wouldn't have any other option. Go to your queen and tell her to change the laws.
The laws to what, sir? To Sharia law?
No, change the laws to not allow any more Muslims to come to Canada. We
Because we're gonna
owe
make
our
babies.
allegiance and our loyalty first and foremost to our religion, not to the queen. To be honest, when I went for my so-called oath, I was silent. I didn't say anything. It was your responsibility to make sure you got it out of me. So when I didn't say anything, I'm not.
So basically, you know what?
the honesty, he's just honest.
No, he's brazen. He's so brazen because he knows nothing's going to happen. No one's going to do it. He admitted on camera that he took a false oath. You know, when you go to attend the citizenship ceremony, you say, I swear allegiance to Australian Constitution and I'll stay loyal to Australia or whatever. So he's saying, I stayed quiet. I didn't say, yes, I will.
Because I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. And when we're a majority, I'm gonna make sure that I want to enforce my way of life. And the thing is, Harris, you know how they think. I know how they think. But there's so many people who don't know how they think still. There's so many people or don't want to accept that. Because if they accept it, if they actually accept what we're warning about is true, then what are they going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Now, like the latest poll in the UK was 1.2 million Muslims want Sharia law in the UK. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because that 1.2 million is going to become 2.8 million. Yeah, it's within a generation. Okay, so then what are you going to do? Yeah, and this is what we've been warned. I've been warned about 15 years. You either deal with the problem now, or it's going to get to a situation where you can't deal with it. Yeah, or the problem's so big and so bad that there is no other solution other than utter chaos, man. And none of us want that. None of us want it. I said, I've got 3 children. I want them to grow up in a Great Britain that looks like Great Britain, that has the freedoms of Great Britain. But that's not the way the country's heading. It's not the way any of our countries are heading.
Last question to you, and then I'm going to ask you some audience's questions. Do you think that Mohammed Hijab is under watch because he is probably not? He's not being as reckless as he used to be. Let me play.
He is. The little mug just sent letters to my family's homes. Yeah, that Mohammed Hijab is. Yeah, and I've just sent them back to his house. Yeah, so he's tried to intimidate me with legal letters, yeah, thinking he's clever. My video hasn't gone out, but yeah, I've done a video while I'm here, basically saying Mohammed Hijab, fuck you and fuck your solicitors, yeah, because you're not gonna shut me up. Like he sits on TV, he talks about subjugating non-Muslims, he talks about jihad, and he talks about 14-year-olds with curves like they're sexual, yeah. He talks about his prophet and the acceptance of him marrying children, and he's unhappy because I spoke about him having a caveman mentality. He has got a caveman mentality. But the problem, Mohammed Hijab, his channel has been monetized the whole time. He's been promoted and platformed the whole time. Yeah, he's a proper radical extremist. That's what he is. And he's masqueraded it temporarily. Yeah, but over the last couple of years, people have seen that. I've got the derogatory way he talks about Hindus, the way he went up to thingy. But the thing with Mohammed Hijab is, like with the letters he sent me, you'll see the video I'll go out this week. But to him and his lawyers, I don't really give a shit, right? I'm not going to back down on what I've said. Yeah, you're a total wrong'un. You're a caveman, and yes, you do propagate paedophilia. You totally do, because you believe a man who had sex with a child was perfect. So that's Mohammed Hijab. So I'm frustrated, if I'm honest, mate, because he sent stuff to my mum. Yeah, Mohammed Hijab, if we wanted to contact me easily. But he thinks he's clever trying to put out trying to send things to my family's addresses. So
This is what he says.
You have to fight them is because they are Jews and Christians. You should fight those empires around you, or those hukumat around you, which are Jew or Christian, until they give the jizya. That's fine. That we already know Islam allows. And then the howness of that is in the hadith. The three options that they're given: either you give the jizya, or you do this, or you do that.
See, even he
convert him or kill him.
Yeah, you convert him or we kill him. That's it. So he says things like these openly, and then on the other hand, I look at, fair enough, what that actor was saying on Nigel Farage's campaign. He shouldn't be saying that kind of language should be policed. But it really fascinates me when I see that how the British media, or the media in general, they police the speech of the natives the way they police that. They totally ignore that silly that Dilly Hussein guy, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawah has said, and that video is still monetized, that people like you, i.e. me and other ex-Muslims.
Yeah, he'll kill you. I'll watch you be killed. You'll get killed.
They say that openly.
Imagine a non-Muslim was sitting there saying a video, you're saying, yeah, we'll subjugate every Muslim, and if they don't convert, we'll kill them. That is international headlines. And whoever that person is losing their job, losing their career, and under hate speech laws is facing prosecution. Mohammed Hijab is making about 30 grand a month on YouTube.
Yeah, he is. Tommy, I got so much to ask, but let's just wrap this up. I know your time's important. It's probably pretty late over there. I'm just going to quickly go through some of these.
I'm leaving at 5 in the morning. It's probably about 1 in the morning now.
Oh, okay.
I'm off to Toronto, bruv. I'm off to Toronto.
Okay.
It's great.
I wish I could join you there. Please ask Tommy if he has seen Why I Criticize Islam from The Adventures of Sheikh Itof. If so, what were his thoughts? If not, please watch. Have you watched it?
I haven't. Send me that, Harris. Will you? What that link
Okay,
is.
I'll send it to you.
And I will
Okay,
watch on the plane in the morning. I'm on a 4-hour flight.
Okay. Agnella De Mello is saying this should not just be a white movement. Christians all around the world should unite irrespective of sex and colors, or else the future generations are going to be paying a big price for our differences. I don't know. I don't see that as a Christian movement. I see that as Western values.
I don't see it as a Christian movement. I don't see it as a white movement.
Yeah.
I see it like if I'm talking about a British movement, then that covers everyone. So I see it. And again, it's not just a British problem; it's a worldwide problem. So when you unify everyone, I think I've been invited to India for an anti-jihad conference.
I'm going there too.
Are you going as well? In December?
Yeah.
Wicked, bro. Wicked.
Yeah. So it seems like that the whole world has a problem with only one particular religion / culture / way of life, or whatever you want to call it. Everyone else is fine. I mean, yeah, we may have got issues with the CCP or with Putin at a governmental level, but we don't hear Russians or Chinese or Hindus coming to these Western countries and trying to take over. There's only one culture when it comes to that.
Only one wants to dominate. Only one wants to dominate. And I think everyone sees that. And everyone does see that. And that's why I always say, so say, for example, Angela Merkel, David Cameron, all of them come out on record and said multiculturalism failed. And I argued at the time, I said, well, that's a coward way of saying Islam's failed. Because I'm from Luton Town, yeah? If you line all my friends up, we are all sons of immigrants. Whether it be St. Lucian, Bulgarian, Italian, Jamaican, none of these people have failed to integrate into society. None of them, yeah? No one can say the Sikh community in the UK has failed to integrate into the UK. No one, right? But they all get bracketed under one banner of failure because of the Islamic community. That's it. It's the Islamic community has failed, and you're blaming everyone else. The same way it was Asian grooming gangs. No, it wasn't. It's Muslim grooming gangs, yeah? So the failure, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, none of them, Polish, none of these groups of people have failed in their integration into the UK. Even
some of us Pakis. I know in Britain you can't say that, but I can say it. It's our P word. It's like the N word. We can say that.
Pakistani Christians haven't failed in the UK either. Pakistani Christians haven't failed in the UK. Probably great, getting on great, right? The problem comes from the Islamic mindset and ideology. And once people understand that, they should isolate the problem instead of blaming everything else.
Yeah, but I don't know how many ex-Muslims in Britain that you actually know of. They are 10 times more antagonistic towards Islam and people who want to import Islamic values in Britain I mean, ex-Muslims, they absolutely hate everything about that, and that tells you it's not a racist movement. It's not about the race. It's about the values that people subscribe to.
Well, ex-Muslims have suffered far more. As I said, I've always said, yeah, no matter what's gone on in my life, I've always had my family. Yeah, many ex-Muslims, as the minute they go against Islam, they lose the most dearest things to them. Yeah, they lose the whole community. So as I said, I can't think. For me, speaking out, I've still got the comfort of my community and my family. For an ex-Muslim who speaks out, then they lose everything. Well, many of them, not every one of them, but many of them lose absolutely everything. So they know more than anyone what it is and what they're up against, or the fight for freedom. So fair play and respect to everyone.
And that's why I think all ex-Muslims love you. I mean, there's still some who haven't warmed up to you yet, but I think they will. Monologic is saying, wish I could be at the rally. Respect from Texas. I know some people from America are actually coming down. Actually, I'm sure you know.
I know a few from America, a few from Canada, a few from Australia, from most European countries. So people are coming in from everywhere. So, yeah, and if not, you'll be able to watch every single part of it live on X.
Yeah. Matthew is saying Trudeau is mentally finished at this point. His own party members are going against him and saying to resign. He has totally destroyed this country in the last 10 years. The worst prime minister in our history, even worse than his father.
He just lost a stronghold in Toronto.
Toronto, yeah, I heard.
He just lost that. So now the automatic reaction after losing such a stronghold in there should have been his resignation, right? But he hasn't. He'll continue. He'll just hold on. And but yeah, he has destroyed. But then again, all of our leaders have destroyed all of our nations. There's been no strong leadership to protect culture or identity, or put the British people, or the American people first, or the European people first. It's all been about globalist ideas. So,
but what do you make out of this recent? Oh, actually, the EU elections and now the parliamentary elections that are going to take place in France. I think later this month, actually early next month. What is your opinion?
Each time with the French elections, I think this time Le Pen's going to do it. This time Le Pen's going to do it. I think every time, and then they combine together, they unite together, and they work out a way of blocking her. So whilst I want to get excited, and I got excited after European elections, I've done this every time with the French election. And then when I look at France, I think, well, how bad does it got to get before the public actually say enough is enough? And then now they're trying to terrify the French public in the fact that there'll be the biggest recession, and it will be like when Liz Truss took over. And they're trying to terrify that the country will be in financial ruins if Le Pen wins. They're already trying to push that. But yeah, I really hope she does it this time. How have the French not had enough when you look at what's happened in their country? I really hope that the European voting gives me hope. Gert Wilders' election give me hope. The swing across Europe give me hope. But I think that in the UK on the 4th of July, we're going to be led by Labour for the next 5 years. But maybe we need that. Maybe the problem has to get so desperate and so bad to wake up the rest of the people who don't actually understand the state we're and the danger we're in. Maybe we deserve another 4 or 5 years of hell. Maybe we deserve that because and the problem we've got, the majority of the British public don't vote. I don't blame them because I've never voted in my life because I've never felt anyone aligned to vote for. That's what we want to hope to do with the cultural movement, is give them a vision and something to believe in enough to politically motivate them. But we'll see.
You were exiled by mainstream social media platforms, and then obviously Elon Musk brought you back, and now we see you. Now we see you. So, do you think that it actually helped you to regain your popularity? Has that actually made a difference? And do you think that the cancel culture is actually on its way out?
I think coming back, has certainly sprung me back into the mainstream, and which has been great. And it's done it at a time when the mood of the country's changed. So people who wouldn't have stood with me are more willing to stand with me. Their toxic branding of Tommy Robinson. I always say Tommy strikes. Tommy strikes again. I don't know if you've just seen this Iranian girl, Goldie. You've seen what happened this week. So a local politician here, I was talking to her. They've got rid of her. She's the only voice really that has spoke out against Iranian terrorist groups operating in this country, against Hamas. and they've surrendered because a Muslim organisation, which is basically a front for the Muslim Brotherhood, were complaining that she's dared to speak to the Islamophobic Tommy Robinson. And so the poor girl's just lost her position within her own party. Now, I know her own party members are unhappy, and I can see a big backlash online, but that is the power that the Islamist voice has over mainstream politicians in Canada. Yeah, I find it insane. So, but I definitely, my reach, I mean, I'm shocked by my reach, how it's gone on X. Yeah, that I think in the last 28 days is at 62 million views. The reach, I think we're at, I don't know, hundreds of millions. Yeah. So, yeah, X has certainly helped. It certainly gives me the ability to put my side across. And rather than people be told who I am, they get to listen to who I am.
So this is Tommy Robinson's X account, guys. Follow him. I think X is probably the best social media platform at the moment. I don't even use Facebook. I'm always very watchful of what I'm posting on YouTube, because all these other platforms, they heavily police you. But I have also noticed that since Elon Musk changed the rules of the game, I think these other platforms are also slightly easing off their restrictions, just a little, not by much, but just a little. Yeah, Facebook is still by far the worst.
Yeah, Facebook. You're not allowed to mention my name on Facebook. So Meta, I'm still, and that was after a documentary I made about the BBC Panorama program. I exposed them as making fake news, and within 48 hours, I was deleted and made a figure of hate by the government. So by Nick Clegg, my ex-deputy prime minister, who became the head of Facebook at the time, just bang, I was gone. I was totally gone within 48 hours. And I had 1.3 million people on Facebook, the most engaged Facebook page in Britain. Bang, gone overnight. So yeah, I'm incredibly grateful to Elon Musk. He's given us a voice back, but he's given the British public a voice back as well. People can have a discussion now, and it's a discussion that's been needed for so long. So yeah, more speech.
Tommy, a question. Any chance of your book Silenced being on ebook? I got your 2 other books on Kindle before being taken off by Amazon.
Yeah, they were banned. Silence was banned. And I've actually got a new book out in about 3-4 weeks called Manifesto. Looking forward to it. Manifesto.
Not bad. You've what is this? 3rd book, 4th book?
4th that week. Yeah, 4th.
So, and you get cancelled. Amazon takes off your books, and you're still doing good.
Amazon took off Silence, but Enemy of the State's still on there. So Enemy of the State's still on there, but Silence they deleted. Now Silence was the one that covered the film that they want to send me jail for. I give the true story of that in Silence, and it was deleted from there. So it's like you can buy Mein Kampf, so you can buy Hitler's book in 20 different languages, but you can't buy my book Silence, and you can't buy Muhammad's Quran, Why Muslims Kill for Islam. Now Muhammad's Quran, Why Muslims Kill for Islam is the only Quran that actually tells you not to kill for Islam. And we advise people not to take the words literally and follow them. Yeah, every other Quran that's on there tells you to take the words literally and follow them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we just hit an hour mark, Tommy. I'm so grateful for you to coming down and have a chat. I wish you best of luck. I'm always watching you. I'm always monitoring your progress and how you're going, and always covering your events. I think you give a lot of hope to a lot of people. I think that you may not be perfect, but one thing that is certain about you is that you're one hell of a fighter. You don't back down. So it's good to have you on our side.
We're going to see you in London on July 27th.
Look, I'll tell you a little bit. I have one little thing to work around, so I'm still debating whether I'll come again. It takes me 26 hours to get there, mate.
I know. But if you can, it'd be great to see you. Yeah?
I will. So thanks for joining, guys. I'll check out now. You hang on, Tommy. Just hang on a second because it needs to upload. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Okay.